She collapsed in the middle of the street, and the whole city kept walking. Only one man stopped, and he had nothing but a pair of feet, a single pill, and a heart that had never been invisible. It was a blazing summer noon in Dallas. The pavement bricks shimmered like they'd been set on a stove. In front of an old post office with weather-worn red tiles, a homeless black man lounged on the stone steps, casually playing a game he'd made up, counting red cars while gnawing on a stale piece of bread. No one knew his name, not until a woman collapsed right in front of him, and he, the man the world always walked past, was the only one who stood up. Dallas. High noon, the sun poured down like molten fire, trying to melt the very pavement itself. Outside a crumbling post office, its roof faded red from time and sun, sat a black man leaning against the stone steps. His name was Tyrese, his hair uncombed jacket, old mismatched flip-flops on his feet, but his eyes sparkled with the curiosity of a child who had just invented a new game. He was playing Spot the Red Car. Every time one passed, he nodded like a referee confirming a goal. On his lap lay a half-eaten sandwich wrapped in ketchup-stained paper. The game was free, but far from easy to win. Then, suddenly, a staggering figure emerged from across the street. It was a woman, petite, wearing a wrinkled office dress, clutching a grocery bag, as if she had just wandered out of a supermarket. Sweat streamed down her neck. Her face was pale. Tyrese squinted. He didn't even get the chance to check if she was wearing anything red. She collapsed right in front of him. "Hey, are you okay?" Tyrese sprang to his feet, flinging his sandwich behind him like a baseball. Around him, not a single soul stopped. One passerby even glanced over and sneered. What now? Another one of their stunts. Tyrese looked around, then I looked down. The woman lay motionless. He dropped to his knees, breath quickening, not from the heat this time, but from something he didn't expect. Her heart was racing unsteadily. Tyrese had never studied advanced first aid, but he remembered reading somewhere when someone can't breathe and their chest feels like ice. Don't ask, just act. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "Miss, can you hear me? Hey, can you open your eyes?" She did. Barely. Her lips moved weakly. "I left my meds at home." Tyrese frozen. This wasn't a heat stroke. This wasn't some act. This was a mild heart attack, and it was getting worse. Tyrese fumbled, panicking. He dug through every pocket of his jacket. What did he have? A $1 bill folded in quarters, 2 loose coins, an expired meal voucher from the shelter, and an empty mint wrapper. "Perfect," he muttered under his breath. "No meds, no car, not even a phone." Then he looked down at his tattered shoes, then squinted at the far end of the block, where a tiny pharmacy nestled beside a laundromat. "I've got nothing except for 2 legs that still work." Without another thought, Tyrese sprang to his feet and ran. He ran through the intersection, dodging honking taxis, stumbling over a fallen ad board that sent him nearly face first into the pavement. Someone shouted behind him, "Hey, you knocked over the chair, man." But he didn't look back. When he reached the pharmacy, Tyrese kicked the door open so hard the bell above it rang out in alarm. Sweat drenched the back of his shirt. Breathing like a plow horse, he shouted into the store, "I need nitroglycerin." Someone's collapsed on the corner of Magnolia. "Please." The female pharmacist behind the counter froze. She looked him up and down, filthy, sweating, smeared in dust and street grime. Then she looked at his hand, just a few crumpled bills and coins. "Are you kidding me?" she said, voice thick with suspicion. Tyrese growled each word, eyes bloodshot. "This isn't a joke. She's dying." The pharmacist stayed behind the counter, arms stiff, eyes tilted like she was silently judging a charge sheet without evidence. "Dressed like that, yelling about heart meds," she muttered, just loud enough for him to hear the disgust woven into her tone. Tyrese clenched his fists, but he didn't argue. He did one thing. He reached into his pocket, a crumpled $1 bill, a few coins rolled across the counter. He placed them all down, then looked up and said, "You don't have to believe me, but you can see someone who's begging for help. For real." The pharmacist hesitated. She collapsed on the corner of Magnolia. "It's a heart attack. Chest stiff. Breathing shallow. I studied medicine long enough to know this is nitroglycerin, not some candy." She blinked. Once, then again. Finally, she turned around, opened a drawer, and pulled out a small white pill. "Take it, but I'm not selling it to you. No receipt, no records." Tyrese didn't hear the second half of her sentence. He was already out the door, like a bullet. Outside, the sun was crashing down like a furnace. A man sipping coffee on the sidewalk pulled out his phone and started live streaming. "Yo, hold up, this homeless guy just yelled something about saving someone and sprinted off like crazy. Anyone know what's going on?" A caption popped up on the live stream. "Homeless guy just ran off to save someone. Dallas, but crazy." Story. The man filming had no idea. He had just captured the first twist in a story no one would see coming. By the time Tyrese made it back to the corner of Magnolia, his heart was pounding, maybe even harder than the woman's had been. She was still there, still unconscious. No one had come closer. One passerby even crossed to the other side of the street, covering their nose and mumbling, "Probably drunk or just another clout-chasing stunt." Tyrese didn't care. He dropped to his knees. His hands were shaking as he gently slid the nitroglycerin pill under her tongue. "Come on, don't fall asleep on me now." "You still owe me lunch," he said, half joke, half plea. With his other hand, he cradled her head, brushing the sweat-matted hair from her forehead. Her skin was cold, her breathing faint. Tyrese closed his eyes, whispered like a prayer, "Please, don't let her give up. Just this once." 1 minute passed, then another. Everything was terrifyingly silent until a blink, a long breath, and a voice fragile as wind slipping through leaves. "You actually came back." She opened her eyes, not fully conscious, but enough to see the face of the man who had run across the city for a single pill for her. Tyrese exhaled, like a man who had just rolled off the edge of a mountain and survived. He dropped back onto the sidewalk, legs sprawled, a soft laugh escaping his lips. Part exhaustion, part disbelief. "You're awake? Or am I the one who passed out and started dreaming this whole thing?" Emma gave a faint smile, and that smile under the blazing midday sun made the whole world pause for just a moment. She tried to sit up, hands trembling as she reached for the streetlight pole behind her. Tyrese reached out, steadying her, as if afraid the whole world might fall apart if he let go. "Slowly now. Don't push yourself. You almost stopped breathing back there." "Yeah," she nodded, her voice barely audible. "Still feels a little hard to breathe, but I think I'm okay now." Tyrese reached into his pocket and pulled out the last piece of bread he had. The wrapper crumpled, the filling uneven but still clean. He held it out with a crooked smile. "Have a bite." "It's not great, but I've been eating it for 3 days and I'm still alive." Emma chuckled, soft but genuine. "Do you always joke like this?" "Only when I'm hungry." He winks. She took the bread and examined it for a moment, as if holding something precious. Then she looked at him and asked, "You really don't want anything? I thought homeless people usually ask for money before they help." Tyrese shrugged. "I only ask for fish sauce, but you didn't bring any." They both laughed, and in that moment there was no longer a rescuer and rescued, just two people talking like old friends on a quiet afternoon break. A moment passed. Then Emma looked at him, curiosity flickering in her eyes. "Did you study medicine?" Tyrese stared off into the distance, then nodded. "Ah, I did. Then I didn't. My mom got sick. I dropped out to take care of her. And when she passed, I guess I lost everything else, too. No school, no home, nothing." She looked at him for a long time, said nothing, just breathed gently, then tilted her head toward the sky. A silence followed, the kind filled with things that didn't need to be said. In the distance, the wail of an ambulance began to rise. Someone had finally called for help. Emma remained seated back against the lamppost, still holding the piece of bread like it was a tether to the world. Tyrese stood brushing off his pants, a reflexive gesture from someone who had nothing left to keep clean, but still wanted to hold on to some kind of dignity. Emma looked up at him, her gaze now steadier. "What's your name?" she asked. "Tyrese," he replied, "and yours?" "Emma." A brief pause. Then Emma reached into her bag, rummaging for something, but all she pulled out was a pen. After a while, Emma looked at him, curiosity softening her voice. "Do you have an address I want to send you?" "Something?" "At least," Tyrese chuckled, light and easy like the last breeze of summer. "Anywhere without rats is fine by me. At least that charity shelter down the street. I go there sometimes for hot water, mess around with the kids there, for fun." Emma wrote his name on the palm of her hand, as if even a passing breeze might steal it away. Then she placed her hand on his, not like someone who had just been saved, but like someone who wanted to believe the world still held beautiful things. "Tyrese." "I'll find you," she said. He looked at her, a crooked smile forming. "Don't people say that a lot? No one ever comes back." She didn't reply, just gave him a soft smile, the kind that felt like a silent promise. And then the ambulance arrived. They lifted her onto the stretcher and gave instructions for first aid. She turned her head to look at him one last time, then disappeared behind the doors as they slammed shut. Tyrese stood there, his hand still holding the warmth from her touch. Inside him a space had just opened, but it wasn't cold. A week passed. Dallas was still burning under the sun. Tyrese still slept beneath the overhang behind the shelter, still asked for hot water every morning to wash his face, still played his red car counting game every afternoon, though no one played it with him. Only one thing had changed. He had started waiting. He never said it aloud, but his eyes lingered on the street more often now. Every time someone called out a name he didn't recognize, his heart would skip, then settle until that Saturday morning. A staff member at the shelter called out, "Tyrese, you've got mail!" He shot up, thinking he must have misheard. Who would send him mail? He didn't even have a proper address. But the envelope was real, cream-colored, sealed in silver wax. Inside was a thick stack of documents and a handwritten note. The handwriting slanted, elegant, and unmistakably refined, Tyrese. Never think of yourself as invisible. People only fail to see you when you haven't given them a reason to look closely. Full medical scholarship, no deadline, no conditions. If you still want to save lives, this is your first map. Signed, Emma H. Donovan, Chairwoman of the Donovan Health Foundation. Tyrese read it, then read it again. No breath, no blinking. His head spun like he was experiencing the very heart attack he once helped someone survive. Emma wasn't just some lost office worker. She was the head of a national health foundation, and the man who had been kicked out of a pharmacy for looking dirty had just been given a second chance to walk the path. He once abandoned. Tyrese clutched the letter. His hands trembled, his heart pounded. But this time it wasn't from fear. It was because, for the first time, he believed someone had truly seen him. 3 years later, the sun still poured down over the weathered red rooftops of Dallas, but this time, Tyrese wasn't sitting on the steps counting red cars anymore. He was standing tall and steady, wearing a crisp white lab coat, a name badge pinned neatly to his chest. Tyrese Holloway, cardiology resident. Behind him stood a mobile clinic from the Donovan Foundation, parked at the very corner of Magnolia, where he once knelt down with a nitroglycerin pill and a shaking heart. A little boy sat on a plastic chair nearby, lips quivering, hands clenched around a medicine box. Scared of the shot, the boy whispered. Tyrese crouched down, his eyes as warm as the morning sun. You know, I used to be scared of shots, too, shaking like a leaf. But now, I'm really good at them. Don't believe me? Watch this. He pulled a funny face, exaggerated and cartoonish, and the boy burst into a giggle. The boy hadn't even asked his next question when a figure approached, quiet. Gentle, Tyrese turned. It was Emma. No business suit, no heels, no security escort. Just a woman in a white shirt and jeans holding a cup of coffee. Her eyes warm, just like the first time she looked at him. They looked at each other. No words needed, no past to rehash. Because everything they'd lived through was here. In this moment, Emma walked over and sat down on a plastic chair beside him. She looked around at the line of people waiting at the white coats, checking on elderly patients and young children. Then she turned to Tyrese and gave a soft nod. I really did come back, she said. Tyrese smiled, and this time, you stayed. Final message. Sometimes the one who saves us doesn't come from someplace grand, but from the sidewalk, from a silent glance, from someone who never stopped believing that kindness is always worth it, even when the whole world turns away.